Today we're visiting the National Museum of the United States Air Force. And welcome back to What's Up with Richard. Let's head inside to the museum. Let's start here at the Presidential Gallery, where we find the aircraft that carried U.S. presidents from 1943 to 1998. The Douglas VC-54C Skymaster is the first aircraft purpose-built to fly the President of the United States. Carrying the Staff Transport VC designation, the aircraft was officially named the Flying White House. However, the aircraft became better known by its unofficial nickname, the Sacred Cow, a reference to the high security surrounding the aircraft and its special status. As the only VC-54C built, the aircraft was heavily modified on the assembly line. A C-54A fuselage was fitted with wings from a C-54B, which offered greater fuel capacity. The unpressurized cabin included an executive conference room with a large desk and a rectangular bulletproof window. For additional comfort, a private lavatory was installed next to the president's seat, and a fold-down bed was concealed behind the sofa. An electric refrigerator in the galley added an uncommon luxury for 1945. A battery-powered elevator was installed at the rear of the aircraft, which allowed President Roosevelt to board the aircraft easily while in his wheelchair. This Douglas VC-118 on display was the second aircraft built specifically to transport the President of the United States. A military version of the DC-6 commercial airliner, it was used by President Harry S. Truman from 1947 to 1953. At the suggestion of the aircraft's pilot, President Truman named it the Independence in recognition of his hometown, Independence, Missouri. In 1947, U.S. Army Air Forces officials ordered the 29th production DC-6 to be modified as a replacement for the aging VC-54C Sacred Cow presidential aircraft. Different from the standard DC-6 configuration, the Independence included aft stateroom for the President and a main cabin which seated 24 passengers or 12 sleeper berths. Other improvements included reversible pitch propellers, weather radar, a radar altimeter, autopilot, and other advanced navigation equipment. Water injection gave the engines more power at takeoff, and larger fuel tanks enabled it to fly non-stop to any location within the continental United States. The Independence had a unique bright color scheme recommended by the Douglas Aircraft Company, consisting of a stylized American eagle with the feathers carried down the fuselage to the vertical stabilizer. The Independence was formally commissioned on July 4, 1947, and President Truman made his first official flight in the aircraft on August 31st to an international conference at Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. One of the plane's most historic flights occurred in October 1950, when it carried President Truman to Wake Island to discuss the Korean War situation with General Douglas MacArthur. The aircraft on display, the only Lockheed VC-121 built, served as President Dwight D. Eisenhower's personal airplane from 1954 until he left office in January 1961. A military version of the famous Lockheed L-1049 Super Constellation commercial airliner, it has a fuselage stretched 18 feet longer than earlier versions. With more powerful engines, greater fuel capacity, and greater speed, these aircraft were popularly known as Super Connies. Eisenhower named this aircraft his third constellation, Columbine III, after the official state flower of Colorado, in honor of his wife Mamie. An adopted daughter of that state, Mrs. Eisenhower formally christened the Columbine III on November 24, 1954, with a flask of water from Colorado instead of the traditional bottle of champagne. Immediately afterward, Columbine III carried the President, the First Lady, and the British Field Marshal Viscount Monty Montgomery to Augusta, Georgia, for a 5-day golfing vacation over the Thanksgiving holiday. The aircraft's most important mission took place in July 1955 when it flew Eisenhower and Secretary of State John Foster Dulles to Geneva, Switzerland, for the first peacetime summit between the leaders of the Western democracies and the Soviet leadership. Columbine III served as the President's official aircraft for 6 years, and during this time it was also used by key U.S. government officials and foreign dignitaries for high-priority flights. After President Eisenhower left office, the U.S. Air Force continued to use Columbine III as a VIP transport. The aircraft was retired from service in April 1966 and flown to the museum for permanent display. The Boeing VC-137C on display was the first jet aircraft built specifically for use by the President of the United States. During its 36-year flying career, it carried 8 sitting presidents and countless heads of state, diplomats, dignitaries, and officials on many historic journeys known as Special Air Missions, SAM. One of the world's most historic aircraft, SAM 26000, carried 8 American presidents: Kennedy, Johnson, Nixon, Ford, Carter, Reagan, George H.W. Bush, and Clinton. SAM 26000 played an important role in American presidential, political, and diplomatic history, and it remains an important national symbol from the Cold War. In June 1963, SAM 26000 flew President Kennedy to West Berlin, Germany, where he declared to the world that "Ich bin ein Berliner," I am a Berliner, boldly assuring continued American support in face of communist threats and the construction of the Berlin Wall. And this is the aircraft that carried the President, John F. Kennedy, on that fateful trip to Dallas, Texas, November 22, 1963.